the business that pays you. Yeah. Our people walk in power, we gon' blow up. No fear, no doubt, we gon' show up. Set your boundaries, shine bright, no fright. Unapologetic, we fight for what's right. Family keeper, that's a state of mind. Power protection all by design. Family keeper, we rise, we shine. Power protection all by design. Mind the business that pays you.
Hey, welcome back, Mindsetters. I'm your host, Monique Danielle Harrell, CEO of Singleton Builders, and you are tuned in to Mind the Business That Pays You, where we have conversations about entrepreneurship, building money, and legacy.
Welcome back, Mindsetters. I am Jill Mabel Beecham, CEO of CRJ Squeaky Clean.
And I am Rochelle B. Gray, coming in from sunny Charlotte today, 72 degrees.
She had to say
I have the message off. CEO of Power Elite Network and the Business Grid. Good afternoon and evening, wherever you are, because for some people it's morning.
Absolutely, especially people watching worldwide like they're doing.
That's right.
And I would like to give a special shout out to my hometown, Elizabeth, New Jersey, because you guys really show up for us on this podcast. We have viewers from all over the world from what we've seen on our analytics, but Elizabeth, New Jersey, you guys are on the top of those charts. I really, really, really appreciate it. So now that I got that out, let's get into this. We have a hot topic today, strategic moves for men, leadership, and legacy. We have a powerhouse guest. His name is Shawn Carrington. He will be here soon. And if our conversations align with your mindset and your vision, please make sure you go to our YouTube page and subscribe. So with all that being said, we got to get her back about that weather, though.
I know. She just slipped that right on in. That's
Guess
okay.
what?
We supposed to be in the 70s next week.
That's what I was getting ready to say. We supposed to be in the 70s next week for 4 days. So
I just hope when I come to Jersey, it's in the 70s or at least.
Listen, I'm gonna send you a screenshot every day. It's 70. It's 70. We having the heat wave.
I'm not mad.
Well, anyway, let's get into this CEO check-in. Where are my glasses? Because a girl cannot act like she could just see and read. Okay, my CEO check-in today is you're either playing chess or checkers in life. So you decide after the CEO check-in what you're doing. So chess requires strategy. Checkers require reaction. Problem: too many people are making emotional moves instead of strategic ones. Solution: pause, assess the board, ask yourself, if I make this move, what does it cost me 3 moves from now? So think about it. Look at the board and see where you at on that board. Problem: we react instead of responding. Solution: strategy requires discipline. Discipline requires vision. If you don't have vision, every move will feel urgent to you. So make sure you have some discipline. Another problem with if you're playing chess or checkers in life, if you're a checker thinking quick moves with no long-term plan, that's playing checkers. Now, if you switch over and start playing chess thinking sacrifice now to win later. Sometimes you have to give up comfort to gain position. So you can't always want it right now like the microwave generation. You have to position yourself and look at your board and see where you at. Another problem, we want immediate gratification. Of course we do. I know I do too. But solution: strategic leaders delay gratification for generational impact. Legacy doesn't mean move fast. It means to move intentionally. So everyone has to learn that. You have to be a little disciplined here. Next problem. We said we want legacy, but we living in survival mode.
Ooh.
Solution: legacy is built through consistent, intentional decisions, not random hustle. Because a lot of people say, I'm out here hustling. You can't be doing a random hustle if you're trying to play chess. Every move either builds your legacy or breaks your leverage. So make sure you keep that in mind. And the last problem is we complain about our position on the board all the time. People complain about their jobs and, where they are in their personal life and certain things. Well, instead of complaining about your position, reposition with purpose. You can reposition yourself. You don't have to stay there. Reposition yourself. A king and a queen never panic. We adjust. Remember that. I don't
All
panic.
right.
I may get a little frazzled sometimes, but I figure it out. Every move you make today is either building your legacy or breaking your leverage. Remember that. You cannot win at life if you refuse to study the board. So make sure you study the board. Life is strategic. Business is strategic. Family is strategic. And legacy is built one intentional move at a time. So check me out on my website, Singleton Builders LLC. We specialize in building custom modular homes. And if our conversation resonates with you, make sure you like and subscribe our YouTube. And you are tuned into Mind the Business That Pays You.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great bullet points that you had as well.
Read the board.
Oh,
I
yes.
love it.
So my CEO check-in coming from me today is talking about cybersecurity along with being a small business owner. Whether you're just starting out or you've been in it for 5 years, no matter how long you've been in it, cybersecurity is very important. Most small businesses don't think about you still have to protect yourself from those that are out there in the world called hackers.
It's true.
I have a lot of people just not even being in the business, but your personal computers as well. You have to protect your data. Cyber attacks are on the rise, and they're going to grow as we move further and further into our future. So some of the things to look for is even with emails. Most people don't pay attention to emails. You just quick to click on things. That is one of the major ways that people get into your computer, steal your money, and we like our money. I don't want nobody taking mine.
Right.
But if
Or your identity.
Yes. So a single data breach is what it's called, is a ransom attack which can cost you thousands of dollars. Even being a small business owner, if you don't protect your data, it could still cost you, especially if people steal your clients' information.
Wow.
Now you're up to, paying money out to your clients too because it's their personal information.
Right.
What are some of the things you can do? Even being a small business owner, you do not have to be an IT techie, but you do need to purchase software that will protect any viruses that come into your system. Train your employees that you have working for you as well. You want to also come up with some type of security audit, especially if you are the owner of your business or you have someone taking that place to run those tasks for you. Run at least a quarterly audit to check your data and check your client base as well to make sure nothing is off. People can get into your system and change information. You may not even know it.
Really?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. So that's one of the resolutions you can have to a problem is to purchase software if you do not have it for security purposes. If you do have software already or when you do get it, make sure you do your security updates. That is very critical. I do it sometime too. Being in IT world, I still will see the reminder come up and I'll say, oh, I'll do it later.
Me
I'll
too.
set my reminder for another time.
Yeah, I do.
Really try to do it
I do
on the
that all the
first
time.
attempt because all it takes is one time for someone to get in. So don't ignore those automatic updates that show.
Yeah.
And not just speaking to computer software, even your phone, same thing. It's just as important to protect the data on your phone. Another thing you can do is implement some basic security measures. Google does give you a lot of these informations on what you can do. Again, you do not have to be a techie, or if you do not have someone on your team that is a tech person, just start off small. The most important thing is that you are starting something to protect your data. Okay, and then again, training your team for phishing and anything that looks suspicious with links. A lot of times, again, employees will think it's coming from you because it might say your name on the email, but it's a trick. You got to really watch out for small things in your email. It could say Joma Bell Beach. Make it say CRJ Squeaky Clean, but watch out for the spelling. You can't read so quickly to ignore
Wow.
that.
Okay.
Or one of the quickest things that people look for to hack into your system is they'll give you an urgency to have something done. I
I've
need this
seen that,
done
yeah.
by
I've seen that.
tomorrow. Now, we know in the business world, we do tell our staff we need certain
Right.
things done by the end of the day or whatever it may be. So they're used to getting deadlines. But again, that's one of the most things that hackers do, because they know employees are going to look for that. Oh, my boss sent me a deadline. I better get it done. So again, those are some of the resolutions to watch out for your business, also your private owned computers or your cell phone. Just keep that in mind, because we don't want anybody coming into your data and stealing it from you. So protect your information that you work hard to build without letting people just snatch it away from you. So I am Joma Bell Beecham, CRJ Squeaky Clean. Don't forget to go on our YouTube and subscribe. Thank you for listening in to Mind the Business.
All right. That was good,
Yes,
because I
thank
don't
you.
never do that either. But we're going to
It's
let
important.
Rochelle go ahead on with her CEO check-in. But
Yes.
yeah.
I hope people take heed to that, because
Mm-hmm.
even one of the biggest companies that our district uses, the state uses, got hacked. And they had to pay the money, and we couldn't sign in. We couldn't do anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to come with my CEO check-in. How to build legacy. Let me put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. Like
we
George
all,
Clinton used to say.
we all did
How to
that.
build legacy without losing leadership, or should you hire your children?
Good one.
So let me start with a real scenario. This business owner told me, he said, I hired my son because I wanted to teach him the business. 6 months later, my staff resented him. My son felt micromanaged, and family dinners were like tense.
Wow.
Same last name, different expectations. The problem was no structure.
Okay.
What was meant to build legacy started weakening their leadership at the job. So let's ask the real questions. Should you hire your child in your business? It's not just payroll, it's positioning. That was their problem. Authority. It's a generational transfer. And if you get it wrong, you don't just lose productivity, you risk the culture and relationship with your kids.
Yeah.
So let's break it down the right way. Let me go with 4 reasons why you should, and then 2 reasons why you shouldn't.
Okay.
Why should you consider hiring your child? Because exposure changes identity. Most children grow up hearing, go get a job. But very few grow up understanding how to create opportunity for themselves.
Right.
So when your child works in your business, they aren't just earning money. They're seeing how vision turns into revenue. They're watching you make hard decisions, and they're understanding what pressure feels like when the payroll is due. They stop thinking like consumers, and they start thinking like creators. That's what you hope. And that's powerful if that transfer happens. Number 2, your business becomes a leadership lab for your child. They got to show up on time. They got to own up to mistakes. They got to learn how to communicate with clients. They got to learn how to handle correction without attitude. But you know, that's a big,
right.
That's development. But hear me, this only works if standards stay high at your job. If you soften expectations because they're your kid, you don't strengthen them, you handicap them and your other workers. So you got to love without standards. So you don't have fragility there, right?
Okay.
We don't want them being fragile and quitting and leaving and being mad.
Right.
Number 3, real-time financial literacy. If structured legally and properly, paying your child could be strategic. But beyond tax strategy, you're teaching them how income is earned, how taxes work. Because let me tell you, when my daughter first saw taxes come out of her check, she was like hot.
Right. Like, what is this?
How to
Right.
save and interest and invest. Right. How to save and invest, and how to manage your lifestyle choices. Because money isn't emotional, it's understood. That's how you shift your family's financial trajectory.
Okay.
And number 4, succession starts with exposure. If you want your business to outlive you, somebody must at least understand it beyond surface level.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean your child automatically becomes your successor, but if they never see operations, systems, negotiations, customer issues, they can't leave what they don't understand.
Right.
Succession is not inherited, it's prepared for. So we're going to slow this down because this is where many leaders damage both their culture and their household. Why you should pause before hiring your child. Entitlement destroys culture. If your child believes the job belongs to them because of their last name, you already doomed. And everybody in your company is watching. If effort is optional for family but mandatory for staff, forget it.
Right.
Your child, they say, your child should apply. I feel like they should apply. Do the real thing with them.
Right.
They should interview. And they should be evaluated, just like anyone else. Access should not replace qualification.
Okay.
Because again, you don't want your other people leaving or building distrust because they feel like nepotism, right? That's why some companies won't let you and your loved one or even your marriage partner work in the same business. And number two, and my last, if you can't separate roles, don't do it.
No.
At home, you're the parent.
Right.
And business, you're the CEO. If you can't correct your child professionally in front of staff, then don't hire them. If they can't receive correction without emotional spillover at the house, then boundaries going to collapse. And when boundaries collapse, respect follows. If you're not ready to separate the roles, then wait. So here's my leadership stance. If you hire your child, create structure. Give them a clear job description, clear compensation, review that schedule with them.
I know that's right.
And tell them there's clear consequences. Don't hire them to rescue them. Hire them to refine them. And if they're struggling financially, that doesn't mean automatically they belong in your business. Desperation is not qualification. And here's the part that leaders don't always want to hear. Again, if you can't discipline your child in business, you're not ready to employ them.
That's right.
Your role as a parent is love, but your role as a CEO is stewardship.
Okay.
That is my CEO check-in. And if this is the kind of CEO conversation sharpens how you think and how you build, then click the link below and subscribe to our Mind the Business That Pays You YouTube channel. We're not just talking entrepreneurship. We're building disciplined leaders who create sustainable legacy.
Well, all right.
So hire them kids or not to hire.
Yeah, that was a great CEO check-in for a lot of people because it is hard to distinguish the two sometimes.
It's true.
Okay.
But at least if you do, you can't be scared to say it's not working.
Right. Do you have anybody on the to shout out real quick before we go to commercial break?
I've been looking, but not yet.
Okay,
They're hiding.
well, I
Come
see
on
Wakia.
Hey,
Wakia, how you doing? We see you and we miss you. Yep, that's Wakia on there. Oh, she said great advice. All right, we can ready to go to commercial, but stay tuned. We have a great guest, Shawn Carrington, and we have a hot topic, strategic moves for men, leadership, and legacy. We will be right back on Mind the Business That Pays You.
Woke up this morning, got up out of my bed. I looked around, this is what I said. Thank you, Lord, for another day. All the blessings just in my way. I could have been dead, sitting in my grave, but you told that, get back and hey, ooh-wee, another blessing, ooh-wee, another blessing, ooh-wee, another blessing, ooh-wee, another blessing.
Hey, Mindsetters, we are back with our awesome guest, Shawn Carrington. And Juma, go ahead, girl, do your thing.
All right. So our guest today, as mentioned, is Shawn Carrington. He is a dedicated family man, purpose-driven leader, retired Army veteran. Thank you for your service that you've provided for all of us. Strategist and community advocate who use chess, literacy, and leadership development as tools for life transformation. So, welcome to Mind the Business.
Thank
Hi.
you.
Welcome, Mr. Carrington.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, we
It's an
love
honor.
that background.
Yes, I
I
want to be
appreciate it.
there.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I always like to make sure, I'm in vacation mode. That's everything I work for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to jump right in here. Well, before we do that, are you in North Carolina now or where are you from?
Yes, I'm actually in Charlotte right now. I actually just got back from Tennessee yesterday. But I live right here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Well, we're going to jump right into it, ladies. Y'all ready? Let's go.
All
Ready?
right.
I
All
am ready.
right. Let me pull on my little glasses real quick. Here we
You see, I
go.
got mine.
I know, right? We telling on ourselves now, right?
I know.
Okay,
Hey,
you
my,
just
my eyes are not always on HD.
I know that's right. You describe yourself as a purpose-driven leader. When did you first realize your life was bigger than just personal success?
Oh man, when I first realized it, I would say early on, going to church. Actually,
Oh.
I was brought up in church just like most of us.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, I felt like the word was speaking to me differently than everybody that was around me.
Okay.
And I realized then that I was on a different mission. I'm very thankful for that. But I think early on, probably I would say 10 years old. When I really started diving into what it means to be like the lion or be like the eagle, it really set me on a different path. And those two animals, it's about mindset. You know,
Absolutely.
it's about mindset and it's about attitude. So I've been sharing that, with my family, I've been sharing that with my friends, and been sharing that throughout, my military career. So I think that's kind of one of the things that really changed the trajectory of my life early on.
Okay.
And
Mm.
Shawn is a chess player. He would have loved your comment
Oh yeah.
earlier, your CEO checking, because he actually teaches chess.
Right. That's
Okay.
why I
Yes.
Yeah, he
did that
does.
CEO check-in like that
Oh,
because of
yeah,
his background.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
he did.
Um,
Yeah.
Good.
Wow.
you just
You
Yeah,
like
chess
mentioned.
that?
was.
Uh-huh.
Go
Go
ahead,
right
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Mom.
Oh, you just mentioned being a veteran. Can you give us a little background on that, please?
Sure, sure. So, I'm retired Army, so I served 24 years in the United States Army. And I could still remember the day when I decided to leave. And just do something different. Just like what the first question was. You know, when was that moment that I realized that my life was going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
The military was different.
Mm-hmm.
So I was the first to retire in the military out of my family. I was the first to receive a master's degree out of my family. I was the first to run multiple businesses out of my family. I was the
Wow.
first to be a real estate investor in my family.
All
So, you
right.
know, and I say all that humbly, because there's so many things that's so much stuff that's in me that I want to pour into others.
Mm-hmm.
But starting out, in 1992, when I was working three jobs at that time, I had two full-time jobs, one part-time job,
Wow.
and I was frustrated, and I was like, I know this is not my life at that time, but I was still every day grinding, doing what I needed to do, and just something just hit me. But I used to pray all the time,
Mm-hmm.
during that time, and I used to pray for two things. I wanted my time, and I wanted to travel, and I say all that and share all that because everybody around me was like, Shawn, were we going to this college, or we going to this community college, or we going to this factory, or we go, it was all the same stuff that I was hearing everywhere, and so that when they always came to me, Shawn, what did you plan on doing? I said, I'm not sure, but I know I want to regain my time, and I wanted to travel, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And they, of course, I used to dive into what does that mean, because I watched my family, go to work, come home, go to work, come home, go to work,
Right.
come home, up, time for that graveyard. And I
Right.
said I
Right.
didn't want to repeat
Love
that.
you.
Right.
I didn't want to repeat that cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to always pray and pray and pray, and I realize now looking back, that the military is what really changed a lot of my trajectory for me in my life,
Okay.
because of course I traveled,
Mm-hmm.
and was in a lot of countries, for over the 24-year span.
Right.
Got a chance to visit a lot of countries that I probably wouldn't normally get a chance to visit
Mm-hmm.
and live in. My youngest son was actually born in Germany, so
Oh
we talk
wow.
about it and laugh about that today. But it was an amazing adventure. Of course, every day wasn't champagne, driven in balloons, but
Mm-hmm.
but I was always the type of focus, like I said earlier, about mindset,
Right.
where I focused on what I liked about the military instead of focusing on what I didn't like about the military. Because I think sometimes the weeds can cause us to make decisions that we really don't want to make.
Yes.
Right.
And we forget to focus on the flowers of what we're doing, and we get tied
Absolutely.
up in the weeds. So that kept me in. I was able to accomplish a lot of stuff. I accomplished, my degrees. I started all my business while I was still in the military,
Okay.
and because I had an actual plan what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be after the military. And that's what leads me to, everything that we're going to talk about today as far as strategic leadership and
Okay.
chess. Chess was a way to honor my father. My
Oh,
father taught me chess. So this is something that I wanted to do as far as teaching chess to others. But everything that God blessed me within my life, I could see it through the chess board, and that's why I share that
okay.
with individuals today.
That's
Okay.
really
Wow.
interesting. Now
Yeah.
I know you have 3 businesses that you focus on for the most part. You want to tell us about those?
Sure, sure. So my first business that I created is S. LLC. It's a real estate management company.
Okay.
So the entire time I was in the service, I was purchasing properties everywhere I was stationed.
Oh,
Smart.
And like I say, I was the oddball. So
right.
all my friends, everybody thought I was crazy. All my family, everybody thought I was crazy. But I was so focused on the vision of what I
Right.
saw, I just kind of made it happen, and
Mm-hmm.
I would say I'm not the smartest one out there, but I'm very driven. I'm very purpose
Right.
driven,
Right.
and action oriented. So it was something that I wanted to accomplish, and I actually did it. And looking back, I'm glad I did. But that's the first company is S. LLC. Then the second company is S. Biz Connections
Okay.
LLC, which is my strategic leadership company, where I work with nonprofits and I work with small businesses and individuals, of course. And that's where the chess falls up under that, the chess and leadership. This year, I'm kicking off a lot of
Okay.
programs where it's chess and leadership, chess and entrepreneurship, chess and taxes, chess and real estate,
You better go
Okay.
ahead.
and
Okay.
chess
I'm gonna have
chess
to
Okay.
and
listen. We
chess and
always
mental
Yeah.
health.
I
So,
had to get back with you.
Yeah. You
so
playing Monopoly out there.
yeah,
Listen,
oh
he
yeah.
is something else. And your third one?
And the third one is Kingdom Leadership Connections.
Okay.
That one hit me about 5 years ago,
Mhm.
where I wanted to work with the parents while in the school systems, because I know I saw a focus on the children, but I didn't see a focus on the parents. And there's no way for us to get good fruit from a bad tree. And so
Okay.
what I always wanted to do was focus on the parents, because I think sometimes in life we assume somebody's 30,
Right.
40, 50, 60 that
Right.
the parents have it all together, but that's not the case,
That's not
and
right.
because I think growth has to be intentional, and
Mm.
I think some people are just getting old, what I'm saying, and
But not us.
you know,
Not us.
yeah, not us, none of us
I'm
on the
Not
panel
us.
really,
here,
I'm
you know
really
what
young.
Right. We really young over here.
yeah, yeah, we're really young right here. Yeah, we're about to make it happen. So, but it's one of those things where something touched my heart to let's focus on the parents. So, Kingdom Leadership Connections is about parent workshops, working with parents as far as on I call it the 3 M's, which is management, memories, oh man.
Uh-oh, you showing now. We
Yeah,
said we
yeah,
25. Now look
it
at
is.
you.
Yeah. See, I'm showing my age now. I'm showing my age now. So I was sitting there thinking about it, then all of a sudden it just left me.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
but it's the 3 M's that I focus on, and
Mhm.
I work with parents on that. But I also have what I call the Literality Lounge, which falls up under Kingdom Leadership Connections, which is the
Okay.
males book club.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
wonderful.
On
Yeah, he's doing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there was something different for me because as I travel and as I work with school systems, working with a lot of families, and work even with some churches,
Mhm.
I realized that men were not reading. Um,
Wow.
and I know that if men are not reading, then I know they're not reading the Bible. So for me was a way to create a fellowship, idea with a development focus, but with the reading literacy component to it,
Mhm.
and with spiritual foundations to wrap it up.
Mm.
So I've been kicking that off 7 cities, 7 states, and then I'm gonna grow
Nice.
it from there. So I just came back from Tennessee, starting a group out there. I got a group in St. Louis right now. A group
Okay.
starting right now in Baltimore.
All right.
Of course, right here in Charlotte, and then I want to move down to the southern states in South Carolina and
Okay.
Georgia, and then maybe one in Virginia, and then I'm
All
gonna expand from
right.
there. But that's the three
Okay.
businesses. So my hands are busy, but it's all worth it, and I'm in a good space.
Absolutely.
I see a collaboration with that parent piece.
yeah,
I do.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Jordan has coached me before. He's absolutely amazing. He really is. Really,
Yeah,
really is. Very
yeah.
strategic.
I appreciate that, Rochelle. Yeah, and Rochelle and
Yeah.
I, worked together a long time. We started off, mentoring. We started off as board members.
Okay.
Of course, I know Rochelle's in the school system, so I know
Right.
she's in the trenches every day. So but I definitely look forward to hearing all about you ladies on the podcast here. I appreciate this opportunity to speak with you all, and but I want this to be two-way. I know you're interviewing me, but
No,
I
no,
want
you
you
good.
all
This
to
is
know.
No,
what,
it's your
listen,
turn.
everyone, the mindsetters like to hear backstories. That's what make everything good for them and relatable to them, because we don't want,
Yes.
mindsetters don't want to just think you started and you got there. It's a lot of meat in between starting and getting there. And
Oh
we
man.
don't like them to have that perception, and we like to know that doing this is not easy, but it's doable, and you can stay focused. And if you stay focused on doing something, it's gonna get done. And pray, it's
Hey,
definitely
I
gonna get
agree.
done.
I agree 100%. And what you just said is so important, especially in today's world, because we're in a microwave situation right now
Yes.
where everybody thinks everything's instant, but life is a journey. So about maybe 3-4 years ago, I like to bring in speakers. I like to bring in other entrepreneurs to talk with the students and stuff like that. And then I always let them speak, first. And one of the students that asked, how long did it take them to get their business to where they're at,
Right.
and three of the speakers, was saying, it took me 6 months, so it took me,
6
90
months.
days, or it took me,
What?
and
Really?
so by the time I stood up, I said, no, this
Wow.
was 30 years, you know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
You know,
It takes
and
time.
but I
Absolutely.
wanted them to have that realistic, view of, that, we got to be like farmers out here. We got to plant seeds and then wait for it to grow sometime next year or the year after. So this
Right,
is not
right.
something that's going to be overnight. You have to develop. And a mentor told me a long time ago that it's easy to make $1 million. The hard part
It's
is
keeping
to
it.
become the person to make $1 million.
Right, right,
Mm.
that
Wow.
part as
And that
well.
that's for that part. And that's what I wanted the students to understand, that development, you got to develop you first before any entrepreneurship venture will ever pan out, because you are, the brand. You become the
Right.
foundation, and if you're not right, then it's going to be hard for your business to right. So I just wanted to close it at that, in that moment, to make sure the students kind of understood that it's a journey.
Yeah.
Life is a journey.
And
Nobody got here overnight.
Yeah, and I just was asked to speak at a school as well last week, from fifth grade to eighth grade, and it was about 10 of
Awesome.
us on the panel, and I was explaining the same thing to them, because my role was to tell about being a woman builder, and it's not as many women builders in New Jersey. I don't know about everywhere else, but I'm one of the few in New Jersey, and they were saying, well, that's kind of like, don't men do that? I was like, no, it's for everyone,
Ooh.
but you have to be dedicated, you have to set goals. They was like, well, how do you become a CEO? It's quick, it's easy. You could become a CEO quickly, but keeping that business alive and keeping your team focused to make your business grow is where the work come in at. I said, so
Right.
it's not that simple, but it's not that hard. You don't have to go
Right.
to college, but you have to go to trade school, college, or the military. You have to do
Right.
something. So they was
Right.
like, oh, okay. They were really good. They had great questions, but the goal was just to keep them motivated and let them know you could be anything that you want to be. You have to be
Right.
dedicated, and you have to make sure that you write a plan A, B, C, and D. And I said, just
Yeah.
because you're playing now in fifth grade and you're in 12th grade, you say you want to be one thing. In 10 years, you could pivot. You don't have to do that for the rest of your life, because they
Right.
were worried about that as well. But yeah, speaking to the
Yeah.
kids is very, very it's emotional for them, because they don't
Yes.
know. They're worried, and they're worried in the 5th and the 8th grade, and they shouldn't even be worried yet. So we
Yeah.
were just trying to tell them, calm down, you have some time, but you guys are on
Yeah.
the right path.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's funny you say that, because in a lot of the parent workshops, I actually talk to the parents about that. About one of the challenges I see happening is that we're introducing our kids to adult stuff too soon.
Yeah, they
The
were
kid should,
nervous.
your kid going to 5th grade shouldn't be worrying about Duke Energy right now. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
Your kid going, got a test coming up, and they worried about, stuff that, adults normally talk about,
Right,
and or
right.
deal with, because I know their mind is not there yet, and I know social media plays a lot of a part in that,
Yeah.
but it's just, we have to protect our children, and allow them to develop early and become the adults they need to be, but not put adult stuff in them,
Right.
5, 6, 7 years old, which
Right.
to me smothers their development.
Yes.
And
Definitely.
because they start worrying about stuff that they shouldn't be worrying about. They
Yep.
start being anxious
Exactly.
about stuff they shouldn't be anxious about. When us as adults, Scripture says, do not be anxious about anything.
Right.
And so if I got my child anxious, that's
Right.
my fault. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's right.
That's
Take
true.
accountability for that. Yeah.
Definitely.
It just drives me crazy, yo. But I caught the accent, so I'm originally from Philadelphia, so
Oh,
so
okay.
I know I probably done lost my northern slang a little bit because I've been gone for a while, But go birds, But
He said go
Well,
bird.
we a Jets fan over here, so I don't know.
okay,
We
okay,
Jets
Yeah, I rock with all of them. Ain't
I
none of
have
them paying my bills, so
That's
I
right.
understand.
I know that's right. Sure don't.
Question for you: how did you transition from the military to civilian life and keep your leadership skills?
Great question. Great question. Like I said earlier, I think from a early age, I was so focused on the vision that I had and the purpose that was in me. Throughout my military career, I used to tell people that the military is not in Shawn. Shawn is in the military. So I was always Shawn first. So when I was transitioning from the military, I kept the core of who I was and what vision I saw. The military was a tool for me.
Right.
And it was a tool that helped me trampoline to where I was going, but it wasn't me, and that's something else that I talk to career-driven individuals about losing themselves, about you gotta if you don't know who you are, you become lost in your career, or your job, or what you're doing,
Sure enough.
because what I do and who I am is two different things,
Absolutely.
and I saw it during the transition process in the military. I saw a lot of people struggling because they didn't know what to do because they lost themselves,
Right.
But for me, it was a little different because I kind of saw where I wanted to go. And then, like I said previously, is that I was building my business actually while I was still in the military.
Right. There you go.
And I was building everything. I was purchasing properties. The only thing I did differently was towards the tail end of my career, I created a property management company to manage my own properties. Once
Right.
I retired my real estate license because I don't like a lot of red tape. You probably know that
Right.
about me.
Right.
I don't like a lot of red tape. I don't like a lot of in the box type of stuff. And once I realized that if I own the property, even if my business owns the property, I
Right.
can manage it myself.
Absolutely.
Without having all those outgoing expenses and stuff like that. So, and I was big on residual income. So that's kind of my transition. Kind of when I went right into what my vision was and what my focus was. And it was fairly smooth. It was fairly
Okay.
smooth because I saw past the military. I didn't kind of take life like day to day.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Chess-
that's
it was a
awesome.
it was a
Yeah.
chess move for me.
Right. There you go. Right. Instead of checkers.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's I know it's cliche, but they say life is chess, not checkers.
Right. Absolutely. Now,
So
you're a dedicated family man. How does fatherhood influence the way you mentor other men?
oh man, ooh, great question. And I think yeah, the way I want to answer that was I think fatherhood is the ultimate level for our men. I think we and I explained this to all the men that I mentor, that's in the book club, everything that we come in as at four levels.
Okay.
Where I come into this world of male, I must develop and become a man. I got to grow into a husband, and then I got to reach fatherhood.
All
Father
right.
means source. That means I got to be the source of my family for everything. I got to be the source for finances. I got to be a source for emotional stability. I got to be the source for mental capabilities. I got to be the source for spiritual development. I got to be the source for social development and making sure sometimes social blockage.
Okay.
So I have to be the source in that. And I think and so the only way I can get instructions from the source, I must become a source, and I think so. Fatherhood was big, and I try to make sure men are understanding that. And I think that's been a lost art over the last 20, 30, 40 years where, men have become comfortable with being in the back seat, sometimes in the trunk,
He
and
said
I
in
think
the
that's-
trunk.
Okay.
I love
Sometimes
I'm
in
gonna
the
use
trunk.
that. You in the trunk. You in the back.
So, and I'm just straight up, and I know sometimes I'm raw with it when I'm talking to the men, because I need to be that way sometimes
Yes.
because I got to wake them up.
That's right.
because I think their spirit knows that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
But until another man I'm an iron sharp as iron type of guy,
Right.
Yes.
and I know even for my sons, I raised 3 boys, 4 girls,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
watch how my sons would try to, say things to my wife or to the grandmothers or to the aunts, and they would listen and entertain it sometimes, saying, come here, boy, come
I
here.
know that's right.
You got about 30 minutes to go and get that done.
I know that's right. I
You
know
know,
that's.
and I know it's a challenge, for our women because I know it's hard to nurture and discipline at the same time. You know what I'm saying? But I
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but just as a father standpoint, I try to pour that into our men, because I think if I can get our men right. Our women can shake off a lot of the stress
Right.
and the stuff that they're taking on right now. Our families can be, stronger than what like it used to be. Our communities can be a little bit better,
Yeah.
and so it's just a focus for me right now, to get the men. I feel like men have been defeated for so many years. I can go back a long ways, but that's why I think fatherhood is so important because father
Yeah.
means source, and to become that source, it has to be intentional development to get there. And the only way
Absolutely.
to do that is kind of seek the kingdom first and read and develop. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, 2 snaps, 3 snaps, 4
Right.
snaps.
That was a good one.
That is awesome. That's you. So
Thank
let
you,
me
thank you.
ask you.
I hope I
Many
answered the
people,
question.
You sure
many people,
did.
you
Threefold.
did. Many people start business with passion, such as I did, but no clear strategy. So give me 3 strategic steps a new entrepreneur should take before launching their business.
Okay. 3 strategic steps I would say is what I actually do in my own business. So the first step would be identify your MVP. MVP is your mission, vision, and your purpose. You
Okay.
know, I need to know, simply put, I need to know what I'm gonna do. I need to know where I'm going with it, and
Right.
I need to know why I'm doing it.
That's right.
Mission, vision, purpose. That's the first step. And then always do a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You
Okay.
need to know what your gifts are. I need to know what my strengths are. I think in life, you only fly focusing on being an eagle. But if I'm saying I want to be an eagle, but all my plans are being a chicken, it's just not gonna line up.
I love
Right,
it.
right.
I
And
love
people do
it.
that in Sims for real.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, oh yeah. So you gotta have an eagle mindset, and then your plans for your business have to align with that eagle mindset. Meaning
Yeah.
that I heard this from Les Brown a long time ago. He said that it's not that people think too big and miss, it's that we think too small and hit every time.
Oh.
And I think that's
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's very true. And like I said, even in my own family, I had to, flush out a lot of the financial literacy that I learned
Right.
out of family because it seemed like everybody around me was comfortable with $20,
Wow.
when I wanted 20,000. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And then
Right.
you look like
And
you overachieving when it's not you, and people don't want to level up, so they start isolating you because every time you come around, oh my God, here she come or here he come, because they have to level up. You don't have to level up around me. I can find some new friends.
But look, you said the key word right there. They start isolating you, and
Yep.
that's how it's supposed to be. As I've been developing and growing, I realized that if you look at eagles don't flock.
Right.
Look at
That's
you look
absolutely
at an eagle.
true.
You might see one eagle at a time, but you'll never
Yeah.
see 100 eagles flying together.
No, they
Right.
don't.
You'll see chickens and crows and all the birds. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, and that's why so as you level up, if you look at how the eagle operates, the eagle is by itself most of the time. The
Yeah,
eagle
that's
is
true.
flying above the storms, not worrying about what the chickens are talking about.
That's right.
Not
That's
saying that they don't
right.
care about it.
Right.
Right.
You
You
know,
care
Take off
about
a
them. You
shirt.
just doing something
they're not
different.
pulled into what the chickens are
That
talking
is
about, and
Absolutely.
so
That's
so
true.
so the lion and the eagle mindset has to be different. So your plans for your business have to be that way. And our challenge in society is because we're conditioned to be employees instead of entrepreneurs, and
Absolutely.
and entrepreneur means I must think like the lion and think like the eagle, but employees mean I must think like a sheep, where I just follow instructions and follow. And I think until a person breaks that, it's hard for
Right.
them to fly and flap. You only fly in your strengths. And
Absolutely.
That's the truth.
this is something that I taught, and I know Rochelle can back me up on that. Is that this is something I challenge the schools with all the time, and I challenge a lot of parents with all the time, because if we're not helping our youth or our young adults identify what they're strong in, we're
Right.
always constantly talking to them about what they're weak in.
Right. Right.
And you only fly in your strengths. You know,
Right.
the world only opens
And
up
that's the
in your
truth.
strength and your gift. You know,
That's
you
right.
can, I don't care how much development and therapy and mental health you try to chase down on weekend. That's not what it is. But because if I chase all that down and never touch what I'm strong in,
Right.
I'm just keeping myself in chicken mode and not eagle
That's
mode.
right.
You
I
know,
love that chicken mode thing.
so,
That's
No,
right.
because
yeah.
it is absolutely true. People, they have to change their mindset, the way that they think. And sometimes I feel like, am I just that different from a lot of people? Because I'm thinking differently. I'm by myself, quite often, except, my husband or my main friends or things like that. But mainly, I could be in a room and be the loneliest person there because I'm thinking about something, over here or something that I have in my plan to do in my 3-year projection or whatever I'm thinking about. So, I
Yep.
mean, it's kind of
Yep.
difficult sometimes when you do have that mindset, and a lot of people around you may or may not have that. I tell people your job is your seed money. Don't go quit your job to start your business, but you have to have that seed money. Then when your job start making your career money, then you leave it and you level up and you keep on going.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Is that Scripture even tells us that, and that's why I always go back to the kingdom first, because Scripture says, "Do not let my hands be idle outside of my 9 to 5."
Right.
Meaning that 9 to 5, my job has a purpose.
Yes.
So while I'm at my job, outside of my job, if I'm not working on me, if I'm
Right.
not working on my business, if I'm not
Right.
working on my family, then what I end up doing is being on the treadmill, going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home,
Yep.
going to work,
Same.
coming home.
Same thing.
And
Yeah.
then wondering how 20 years done passed me by.
Yep. That's absolutely
And
correct.
so outside of the job is where I work on me, is where I work on the business, is where I work on the plans. So the third step, Rochelle, is planning. That was a great segue that we talked about. It's planning. So once I identify my MVP, and then I identify what I'm strong in, then I need to plan and then execute that plan.
Absolutely.
Because the plans of the heart belongs to me, but the answers come from the Lord.
All
And
right.
I understand that I don't get no answers if I ain't got no plan.
That's the truth.
And this is something that I talk to my men, but I also talk to the parents about that, because I also see this as a challenge where between men and women, and why I think, and it's just my opinion, but I think when our women get frustrated is because the woman is powerful, comes into your life to help you with your plan, but if that man don't have a plan,
Right.
then now she's frustrated, now he's frustrated,
Right.
and don't realize that he must have a plan. So what is your vision, brother? So where you want to take your family? So what are you trying to build? Because she comes with all that resources to pour into to help you with that. She can't help you do nothing.
Right. Because they don't know what the plan is.
Battle.
Yeah.
It's
And
a
it's
battle right now. So
powerful
plan.
because when I was thinking
Plan.
about business, when we met with Shawn,
Mm-hmm.
when I was with my ex, and he asked us those questions.
Right.
Mhm.
Because he's like, 'Cause I know what she'll do. I know what she's
Right.
capable of.
Right.
But you as the head, what is your and it was like, wow, it was first of all, it was awesome because they're not expecting that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not expecting because they don't even talk together that much. And when they do, they're not thinking about going that deep. And it was a good conversation. It really was.
Yeah.
And it made him think, and I'm sure it helped him grow.
Right.
And he actually
Because
really
it's
liked
not
you
to
after
put them
that because-
down. It's just to open
No,
up
it
their
wasn't. But
vision.
see, men-
That's all it is.
Yeah.
They don't talk like us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're thinking that maybe you're saying this because of who you are, but
Right.
he's like, no, I'm trying to help you get because if business is going to work, it needs to
Right.
work with you and your
You
husband, your
need
wife
to work
too.
together,
Right.
right? What do you feel
Absolutely.
about that as a
Even-
team, husband and wife team? Do
Absolutely.
you
And
feel?
and I thought it was powerful.
Yeah, do you feel
Powerful
that
part.
husband and wife should work together as a team on
Yeah.
some things, or no, or like what's your input that you try to teach the men? Like how you think that should work?
Well, I think working as a team has to be strategically defined, meaning that it has to be one vision of the house.
Yes.
Because two visions brings division.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Two
division
separate
leads to
ways.
divorce. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So so the first thing, it has to be one vision of the house.
Yes.
What are we trying to accomplish?
Yes.
And then that way, my business acumen and then her business acumen, we
Right.
feed into that one
To one
vision. and
vision,
that mission.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But if we're going to two different directions, we're going to end up chasing two rabbits at the same time and nobody eating. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
and spending too much money because you pour into the
Jim was
vision.
cracking up.
Yeah, you
Nobody-
pour into the vision that's ahead. Like if my vision is ahead, we'll put the money over there. If his is ahead, we put the money over there. But again, we're still working on one vision. It may be two
Right.
separate ideas, but if you come together to me and put it all together, you get farther faster.
farther faster. So so you want to look at, always correlate, life with business.
Yeah,
Because life is business. The kingdom
Yes.
is about business. So we were meant
Yes.
to have a business. So if who I am and our covenant is the parent company, that means everything else that we're doing are all DBAs. You know what I'm saying? But
Okay.
all those
That's
DBAs
right.
have to
That's
feed
right.
into the parent
Okay.
company.
Right.
So if
Absolutely.
I got a DBA over here and that's taking me away from the parent company, I
Right.
need to self correct.
Right.
And that's what I think we're not doing a good
Right.
job at in a community, because when I sit down and talk with hungry individuals, is that she's going this way, he's going this way,
Right.
the kid's going that way. Okay, so
Yeah,
what are we
right.
doing?
Everybody is going everywhere. And for those who don't know what DBA is, that's doing business as. When you create your companies, you can have a parent company, and then underneath you can have your DBAs, but it's all under one EIN. So
Right.
that's what he's speaking about, the DBAs doing
Correct.
business as.
That's it. That's it. Because that the purpose, the people have many talents, and I tell people, I said, so, but you got one purpose,
Right.
but those many, and I think we get confused sometimes, and I think this is where we end up chasing 2, 3, 4, 5 rabbits at one time,
Right.
because
Right.
we know we're talented in this, we're talented, and then we end up, but we got to identify that purpose first. So I
Yeah.
always say that if God expects me to produce apples,
Right.
when that time comes and I'm standing in front of, the Lord and speaking about my life, I can't be talking about, well, I was doing these grapes over here, I'm doing
Right.
this watermelon.
Right.
Last month I was looking at some bananas. So
Right.
he
Right.
could be like,
Right.
well, but once you finish talking, I need to know about them apples.
Right.
Y'all
I
be
still need to
shaking.
know about those apples. Right. Yeah. My husband and I had a talk about that in our conversation. Where how you're saying, we have different vision about things, but we coming together to, put the visions in line so that we could work
Yeah.
together on getting stuff accomplished. Because we both agree
That's
that
it.
that's how it has to be in order for us to get somewhere together.
That's it. That's it. That's exactly it. Because is no way possible for two individuals,
Right.
for men and women, because we both come from different journeys, different
Right.
backgrounds. So we have different
Absolutely.
ideas, different. But if we don't come together with a shared vision,
Yes.
the problem is not how powerful everybody is. The powerful is that we don't ever come together on a shared vision.
Right. That's
And so if I put who I am and what I do under, we first create a shared vision of the house, and then everything feeds into that, we're going somewhere.
Absolutely.
But if we don't
That's
have that
true.
shared, and the same thing for business.
Yes.
When I talk leadership development, this is what I talk about with business owners, nonprofits, and small businesses. So I always ask the employee, okay, well, tell me what the vision is for the day. And if everybody's just here, I don't know, I'm just here. What I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then I'll go to the supervisor. Well, tell me what the vision is for the day. You say, I don't know. I ain't hear anything. And so what ends up happening, we end up doing a whole lot of nothing.
Right. Right.
And we're not working towards anything,
Right.
because we have to have a vision. We have to have a vision for the year. Then we have to have a vision for the quarter. And then we break that down for the month. And then we break that down weekly and then daily. And then that's how we don't stress ourselves out,
Right,
because it has to
absolutely.
be strategic. So this is another chess move where if I'm being strategic, that means everything I do each day is feeding into my week. And then my weeks are feeding into my month, and then my month
Absolutely.
is feeding into my quarter, and so forth. But if I'm out here just every day, just doing stuff,
Right, right.
and at the end of the year, I'm tired and frustrated, trying to figure out
And
what I've
didn't
done.
accomplish nothing.
Didn't accomplish nothing.
I have to have my checkbook at the end of the week, at the end of the month. I have to check off, okay, we wrote down this to accomplish. Now, what did we accomplish? Hey, you may not accomplish everything, but you're at least following a plan. And if you're not following the plan, that's when at the
Right.
end of the year, you like, well, what did we do? Nothing. A whole bunch of nothing. That's exactly
whole
what
bunch
we
of
did.
nothing.
A whole bunch of nothing. We ran
Mama,
around
I'm
and did
asking you to check
nothing.
on our mindsetters, because I didn't see anything, but I want to see if you see any new mindsetters with any questions.
I can't really see him. We running out of time, so we doing so great
I
with
know, I
him.
was like
We just into
8:34.
our own thing. Is there
Okay.
anything you like to add, Shawn, to men that you would say to them that may be trying to come into leadership, or maybe they could reach out to you? You could give them your information. If you come into their town, just something to leave our men and families with as far as playing chess instead of checkers.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So to the audience and those that are listening, one, I am Shawn Carrington, also known as Mr. Shawn, and so you can reach me at. I'm gonna throw my number out there and my email, so you can reach me at 980-230-3102. My email is ShawnC@MrShawnBiz.com. I look forward to speaking with each and every one of us, and each and every one of you out there. Now, I always, life is one move.
Yes,
I always say one strategic move can change everything, can change the directions of your life. One strategic move, and so but it has to be intentional. So when you play the game of chess, each move from the pawns to the king has to be intentional. The pawns have a mission, the rooks have a mission, the queen has a mission, and the king has a mission. So each piece on the board has a mission. That's exactly how we got to live our life. We got to be intentional. We have to be strategic. But we also have to understand that in this life, it's not our plans that will prevail. It's God's will. But we must have a plan. We must have a plan. And then what ends up happening is, and I think you had said it earlier, is that sometimes our plans don't go right.
Right.
Because sometimes we get adjusted.
Right.
But we guaranteed to get tomorrow with what we had yesterday if we don't have a plan. And one thing I will say about leadership is intentional growth. So success is predictable, but that also means that unsuccess is also predictable. So once we grow and leadership, and you grow within your own leadership, you identify your gift, you identify your strengths, and you fly like an eagle that you was meant to be. So I look forward to working with everybody. Men, reach out to me. Let's build this thing. Let's grow. Let's develop. Families. Wives, mothers, my sisters. Let's grow. And let's make sure we train our children up the way they should go. And then all of us are winning. I don't want just some of us to win. I want all of us to win. Yep. But I thank you.
Well, absolutely. And we have our CEO checkout that we ask every guest that come on the show. So our CEO checkout is, as a CEO, I'm still learning blank and I'm unlearning blank.
Good question, man. Okay. So, so I'm still learning just how to be, a better man. I'm still learning how to be a better man, how to be a better business owner, and I think what was the last part? I'm still learning blank.
You're still learning blank, and you're still unlearning what?
Still unlearning blank. So, and when I'm unlearning, I'm still unlearning things that don't align with the things I'm learning.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah. So basically, I think as I seek into kingdom principles and what that looks like, I'm unlearning things at the same time,
Okay.
And sometimes that I have to take time to do both. So every morning, so I'm in my Bibles, I'm in scripture, I'm receiving different things. And so I'm learning the things that I need to learn on a daily basis, which is causing me to unlearn things throughout each day. And I think that's important. So.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Well, mindsetters, we hope that you enjoyed our conversation today with Shawn Carrington. Very enlightening and positioning, and you got to learn how to play chess around here. You definitely got in Monopoly, because I love that Monopoly.
Right, in Monopoly.
Yeah, let's do it.
So
I get so many people that want to learn how to play chess. Let's do it. I'll be glad to teach everybody.
Now, are you coming to New Jersey by any chance? I heard you say the further south states, but I didn't hear you say Jersey. You gonna think about it? Maybe for Jersey.
It's a done deal. I said I'll come to Jersey. So I'm doing some stuff in Philadelphia. So and I know right across the bridge. So let's do it. Let's do it. So I definitely want to set up some book clubs and some chess clubs. And
he does book clubs too. We've done some great books.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, all right, mindsetters, we are out of time. Unbelievable. It's almost 8:30.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we were so engaged. I mean, wow. We appreciate you. We may have you back on as a guest for another time as well, because you seem like you still had more information to give, and we had more questions, and we just got so engaged. But mindsetters, thank you so much for tuning in. If our conversations align with your business mindset, make sure you go to our YouTube and subscribe to our page. The link is in the description, so make sure you go to our page, as we said, and never be too busy to mind the business that pays you. All right, everyone. Good night. Until next week.
Good night. Shawn, we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
All right, thank you.